Alright, welcome back. Another theme deck is coming up. A theme deck duel. Okay, Archfiend. Let's have a look at this deck. This is like a made up Archfiend deck, which is, I believe this is actually in the it's actually in the campaign. So the deck is probably not the best Archfiend deck it can be. It's only got a certain handful of monsters in it, but anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into single player and campaign into GX and the Shadow Duelist. Now when I click on this, I can select my user deck to play, and I have made one for the Gravekeepers. So this deck is going to be Gravekeepers versus Archfiend, and then I'll make an Archfiend deck and I'll do a reverse duel. I'll use the Archfiend monsters and I'll play against the challenge deck. I have modified the Gravekeepers deck to actually have all the Gravekeepers monsters and all of its magic and trap cards. The pre-made deck on Legacy of the Duelist doesn't always do that. That's why it's not perfect. It's a good starting point, but you do have to make some edits. Alright, so we've got Gravekeeper's Cannon Holder, Gravekeeper's Spiritualist, and Gravekeeper's Vassal. Any battle damage to this card inflicts to your opponent is treated as effect damage instead. Okay. You contribute one Gravekeeper's monster. We don't really want to be doing that. That's got, during your main phase, if Necro Valley is on the field, add one Gravekeeper monster from your hand to your deck. Alright, Gravekeeper's Servant. That's actually a pretty powerful card. Unless your opponent sends one card from the top of his or her deck to the graveyard, he or she cannot declare an attack. That's a pretty powerful card. Activate one of these effects, add one Gravekeeper monster to your deck to your hand. This is great. This is Necro Valley Throne. Cool. Alright, let's do that. Gravekeeper's monster. We'll do that. Choice number 1. We can get Gravekeeper's Nobleman. Piercing damage, that's if that attacks a defense position monster. Gravekeeper's Commandment. You can discard this card to your graveyard, add one Necro Valley to your deck from your hand. Necro Valley is a pretty good card. That's decent effect. If this card you control is into your graveyard, add one Gravekeeper's monster 1500 or less defense. This is why it's good to have all their monsters, because they all have effects that complement each other. I'm going to go with him, Gravekeeper's Recruiter. So now that's one that you would usually double up on. You would usually have 3 copies of Gravekeeper's Recruiter in the deck, because that's such a useful card. I'm going to be 100% honest, I'm not familiar with the Gravekeeper's deck. I know of it. The only deck that I'm like fully fluent with is the Amazon S deck, because it literally beat the whole game for me. So there is always a learning curve for me to overcome as well when doing these duels. Alright, there's Archfiend Palabyrinth. Because I'm playing against an AI, they will move pretty quick. So, alright, he had to lose an entire card to attack. Now, all of the Archfiend cards, they cost 500 life points during their standby phases, and they all of their effects go with like dice rolls and stuff. So let's read this one. If this card is sent in the graveyard because of a card effect or being destroyed by battle, you can add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand. Useful. What's that? Archfiend Palabyrinth. All Fiend type monsters gain 500. I know there is a I don't know if it's a field spell card, but I know there is a card which bypasses that controller of this card pays 500 life points during their standby phase. So that was Desrook Archfiend. What's that? Archfiend Heroes. Anyway, it's my turn now. You can tribute this card by tributing one Gravekeeper's monster. This card gains 200 attack for each Gravekeeper monster in the graveyard. If this face-up card will be destroyed, you can discard one Gravekeeper's monster instead. That's pretty good. That is very good. And to be fair, it's probably the best choice as well. Yeah, let's summon this. We'll get rid of Gravekeeper's Visionary, and we'll have this 2000 attack. It will have a little bit more because of select the cards from your deck to add to your hand. There is a card that lets me You can discard this card to the graveyard, add 1 Necro Valley. I'm going to get that because Necro Valley's a good field spell. Okay, that was sent to the graveyard by my tribute. That's why I was able to activate that effect. Alright, let's go into battle phase. 2200, and let's attack Titan. So he got to add 1 Archfiend card from his deck to his hand. So that's a pretty good effect, that Archfiend Heroes as well. There's that effect is also in the Amazon S deck as well. So a lot of these decks do work in a similar way. You just got to know what card does what. Ooh, here we go. I don't know what's happened. Okay, use the effect of Gravekeeper's Visionary. I can discard a Gravekeeper's monster instead to keep that on the field. Alright, let's send that, as that's pretty weak. Let's read that effect. You can normal summon this card without tributing, but its attack and defense are halved. This card is destroyed during the end phase if you summon it that way. Once per turn you can banish 1 Archfiend card from your hand or graveyard, then target 1 card on the field and destroy it. So I was able to use my Gravekeeper's Visionary effect to keep it on the field by sending that to the graveyard instead of him being destroyed. And now he's still got that face down, which he didn't activate, so I will say... Alright, let's play Gravekeeper's Commandant. Oh, sorry, let's discard it so I can get Necro Valley. All Gravekeeper's monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Cards in the graveyard cannot be banished. Negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place. Ooh. That would stop Monster Reborn as well. Negate any card effect that changes types or attributes in the graveyard. So it gives me 500 attack, but it's not a phenomenal card, but then again, I don't have any Monster Reborns or anything in the deck. If Necro Valley is on the field, you can fusion summon 1 spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck. Alright, that has to be during my main phase, which is now, actually. Activate effect. I can special summon Gravekeepers. Okay, I need to use that, and I need to use another Gravekeeper's monster. Gravekeeper's Cannon Holder. Yep, that can go. Gravekeeper's Oracle. You can tribute 3 monsters or 1 Gravekeeper's monster to tribute summon, but not set this card. Alright, first of all, what does this do? Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist. 2 Gravekeeper's monsters. Gains attack and defense equal to the combined original levels of the materials for its fusion times 100. While Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any card in your field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, so that'll protect Necro Valley. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 Gravekeeper's monster or Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand. That's very, very good. You can only use that effect once. That is a very, very good effect. Look at that, 3300. I can activate the effect now. Okay. No, in fact, I don't see what that did. Anyway, 3300, 3500. Remember, that also gains 200 attack for each Gravekeeper's monster in the graveyard, and because I threw quite a few of them to the graveyard, I have got 2 very, very powerful monsters, both over 3000 attack. So as you see, this Gravekeeper's deck, if I put this against like any of the starter decks or Duelist Kingdom decks, so Duelist Kingdom decks would just get absolutely thrashed. Ah, that effect must be taking into place now. I can take any Gravekeeper's card from my deck and put it to my hand. Let's put Gravekeeper's Chief. When you only control 1 face-up card, your graveyard is unaffected by Necro Valley. Wow. When this card is tribute summoned, you can target 1 Gravekeeper's monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So that'll bypass my Necro Valley, and I will be able to revive a monster from my graveyard after I tribute summon that. But do I really want to tribute summon any? Get rid of either of those cards? Well, then again, Okay, I have an idea. During your standby phase, gain life points equal to half the total life points you paid during last turn. That's something that will get rid of that that 500 point pay for having this card on the field. This control of this card pays 500 life points. That card will undo that. So first of all, let's activate your effect. During the end phase. Okay, let's... Now, I think this will work. Let's put him down. You can only control one face-up Gravekeeper's Chief. Activate the effect of Gravekeeper's Chief. Yes, which means I will be able to special summon a Gravekeeper's monster, including Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist. It might lose a little bit of strength, actually, because I've brought it back the way I have it did. But I now have 3 monsters, all quite strong on the field. But that was just to show what that card did. Terror King Archfiend is destroyed. And I win the first duel against Titan. So as you see, this Gravekeeper's deck is actually pretty good. I quite like that deck. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll go into deck edit. And I will build... I will do this and I'll build an Archfiend deck. Now what I'll do, I'll go into my text search and I'll put Archfiend in the title to search for, and hang on, I need to undo. How do I reset filter? Oops, there we go. Okay, Archfiend. Okay, there we go. So as you see, there are more Archfiend cards available to us than what there are actually in this deck. There is... Ooh, Archfiend Cavalry, Archfiend Commander. So some of them are going to be later in the series, like this is a Pendulum monster. If we go down a bit, there is lots and lots of Archfiend cards that have evolved. Dark Bishop Archfiend and Desvuk Archfiend. A lot of those ones came in quite early, so that's sort of what this deck has been built around by the look of it, but you could probably make multiple Archfiend decks, to be honest. Anyway, let's use the deck we just played with Titan, and if we go into single player, I think I will have to go into a duelist challenge. Odeon, I think, had the Gravekeepers, he did, and now we are playing as the Archfiend. Odeon's deck is slightly different to mine. Odeon doesn't have all of the Gravekeeper's monsters. I actually edited his deck a little bit. At the end of this duel, I can tell you what cards I took out. Odeon had some Dark Holes, he had some Mirror Forces, but he had some double up of monsters. He didn't have one of every Archfiend monster in the deck, which kind of, not Archfiend, Gravekeeper, which kind of outdoes the point that I want to play. That's the one. Neither player has to play life points during the standby phase for Archfiend monsters. Unfortunately, I didn't draw any Archfiend monsters. Also, that pay 500 life points and target one Archfiend monster in your graveyard, special summon it, destroy it at the end phase. I'll play that face down. That's the card that he played in the last duel as well. What's this one? That's another field spell. All fiend monsters gain 500. No, the other one's better. Discard one spell card, then target one spell. Okay. Well, that's all we can do. Unfortunately, we haven't drawn any monsters, so we're going to be vulnerable to an attack. Activate the effect of a card. Yeah, we'll do that. Gravekeeper's Commandant. Oh, I need to use the Mystical Space Typhoon as well. Mystical Space Typhoon is a very broken card. A little bit too strong. Oh my god. You know, redo over. That was an absolute shocking hand. But that is the reality of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that occasionally you are going to draw absolute stinkers in terms of hands. Like that, I need a monster. Do I get... Okay. Okay, cool. We got that card again, so we don't need to pay our 500 life points. Although, it looks like... What we got? Desrook Archfiend. Alright, let's start with this. Desrook Archfiend. The controller of this card pays 500 life points. Standby phase, blah blah. When this card is targeted by the effect of a card controlled by your opponent, when resolving the effect, roll a 6-sided die. If the roll is 3, negate the effect and destroy the opponent's card. When a Terror King Archfiend on your side of the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon the Terror King Archfiend, which is actually this card. This card cannot be normal summoned or flip summoned unless you have an Archfiend monster on your side of the field. The controller of this card has to pay 800 points. During the standby phases, that's where this card comes in handy. I won't have to pay that. Again, it's a when it's targeted by an effect, I can roll a dice. If the result is 2 or 5, negate the effect and destroy the opponent's card. The effects of an effect monster that this card destroyed as a result of battle are negated. Not a bad effect. Alright, let's start with Desrook Archfiend. Maybe I should have put that in face down defense. Anyway, I don't think this Archfiend deck is going to be strong enough to beat the Gravekeeper's one anyway. But I just wanted to showcase this as a potential duel. It adds 2 decks that could be used in the ultimate tournament. In fact, face down defense would have been a lot better for that card. Oh, it's another Terror King Archfiend. I can set it. I don't really have any option. Right, there's Gravekeeper's Ambusher. When this card is flipped face up, you can target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard and place it on the bottom of the deck. This card is sent from the field to the graveyard after being flipped face up. You can target 1 Necro Valley card in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. Again, I am not drawing... I haven't drawn a good hand. Alright, let's try one more time. Otherwise, yeah, the deck has been made, I think, to be quite weak, so you can advance in the story. Given that this was GX, it wanted you to be able to beat the story duels quite easy. It's a duelist challenges, which are a bit harder. There we go, that looks a bit better. When this card is targeted by an effective... Again, when it's targeted by an effect, you can roll dice and... All Fiend monsters gain 500 attack. You can target 1 Archfiend monster you control, banish 1 other Fiend-type monster you control, and if you do, special summon from your hand deck or graveyard 1 Archfiend monster with the same level. So they are... Some of the effects are a little bit convoluted. You do need to read them a few times to kind of start to get the hang of what... Select 1 Archfiend monster you control on your side of the field to activate this card. Your opponent pays the same life points that you pay for the selected standby phase. Okay. Turn change. I'll activate that now. Actually, I'll activate them both. Life absorbing machine. That means I'm safe. I need to select an Archfiend monster for that, which I can do now because my Infernal Queen Archfiend is face up. I do have one of the Archfiend card. In fact, I might have a couple of them. I've got Dark Bishop Archfiend. Like, I've actually got that card for real. I've got a couple of the Gravekeeper ones as well from when I used to collect back in the day. Oh, look at that. He's got rid of my field spell. Archfiend's Oath. I've got that card as well, for real. Select monster to gain attack. Ooh, 1,000 points. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points and declare one card name. Excavate the top card of your deck, and if it is a declared card, add it to your hand, otherwise send it to the graveyard. So if you could decide which card goes to the top of the deck, that would be a good effect. Otherwise, I'm just taking an absolute random punt here. Declare one card. Are you kidding me? I can't. What? That's going through every card in the game. Alphabetically. Okay, Archfiend. What? How am I possibly meant to be able to do that? Oh my... I don't even know which cards are in this deck. You know what? It doesn't matter. That was another one of those field spells. All being destroyed by battle, you can add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand. Alright, let's set that. That's kind of like the Sanguine for Archfiends, so we've got that on the field. I'm not going to be able to beat this Gravekeeper's deck with this watered down Archfiend deck. I would have to customize it for it to be any good. Alright, my Infernal Queen Archfiend is destroyed, and he has tributed Gravekeeper's Descendant. And Gravekeeper's Visionary has come to the field. Oh dear. It's now 2,900. Is that the card I played earlier? I think it is. Yeah, 200 points for every Archfiend monster in the graveyard. And at 2,500 points, it's pretty good. Oh, there we go. I get my 500 life points back that I paid with... Oh, Archfiend's Oath. Okay, I get it all back, so... But then again, if I get it wrong, I'm depositing those cards to the graveyard, which I don't really want. So yeah, the Archfiend deck goes across quite a few different arcs, but there was an Archfiend deck that you can put together for like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And the GX series. Alright, that'll allow me to pull a... There's Dark Bishop Archfiend. I need 2,000 attack, and I mean, I've got no chance of winning this. I can only use that effect once per turn as well. So now this Archfiend deck would probably struggle with the starter decks of like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series that I've been doing the other series with. I can gain 1,000 attack, but it's not going to help me. So as long as Necro Valley's on the field, that card is protected by other card effects, which is, you know, Fissure, Dark Hole, all them sorts of cards. As my Gravekeepers... Sorry, as my Archfiends are absolutely getting the hell beaten out of them. I like that Gravekeeper's deck. I might use that a bit more often. There's my Life Absorbing Machine card again. And I am quickly running out of points and options of cards to play. So the Archfiend deck is very, very... How would you say it? It's a bit of a confusing deck to... You kind of have to know what each card does straight up to be able to use it effectively. Ugh. Pandemonium. Well, my card was destroyed. I activated the effect, and do I get to pull another card to the field, do I? Let's pull Dark Bishop Archfiend. Or is it just going to my hand? It's just gone to my hand. And my Archfiends have just been completely obliterated by that Gravekeeper deck. Even Odeon's watered down one. My one was more powerful as well. Well, I'll call it there. That is the Archfiend deck and the Gravekeeper deck. Now, the Archfiend deck would need a bit of modification. The Gravekeeper deck, that is actually really good. I reckon that would have a really good match against the Amazoness deck because their strategies are kind of similar. I'll read through those cards of the Gravekeepers a bit more so I can get a bit more familiar with them. But that was fun. There's like unlimited possibilities of these decks that I can sort of create. So I'm going to start going through them like this, 2 a day, 4 a day, however many duels I do. And I'm writing them all down and sort of like starting to study them. The Gishki Ritual one was really good as well. And eventually, once I'm done with the original Yu-Gi-Oh season, the Battle City ones, which is still underway as well, getting those decks together. Once all that's done, I will be able to like have this massive tournament of like thousands of decks. It will probably take me years and years to accomplish, but hey, I'll get there. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this little exhibition match between 2 theme decks. I'll be back at it tomorrow with the next round of my Yu-Gi-Oh season, which will be Bones and Bakura, and another theme deck as well. What's the next theme deck going to be? I might actually duel off with the Amazoness deck and the Gravekeepers. I reckon that'll actually make a pretty good exhibition match. Well, anyway, thanks for tuning in. Keep safe. Farewell.